I'm 29 years old, and about a year and a half ago, I bought my first house. It's nothing huge, just a small 3-bedroom place. But honestly, I worked for years to save up the deposit. So, I'm really proud of it. My older brother Jake, he's 33. Recently, he went through a rough breakup. He had been living with his girlfriend in her apartment, and when they split up, he had to move out quickly. A few days later, my parents called me. They asked if Jake could stay with me, just for a week or two, and I said no. I know that sounds harsh, but there's a reason. See, Jake has a history of moving in with family, and then never leaving. A few years ago, after he lost his job, he moved back in with our parents. It was supposed to be 1 month. 1 month became almost 2 years. 2 years. He paid no rent, barely helped around the house, and every time my parents asked about his plans, he'd get angry. So yeah, I knew exactly how this story usually ends. I work from home, and one of my bedrooms is my office. And honestly, I just don't want to live with Jake. We actually get along much better when we're not sharing the same space. But my parents kept asking, over and over and over again. Eventually, I suggested, "Why doesn't he stay with you?" And my mum replied, "Oh, our house is too stressful right now." Apparently, Jake needed somewhere quiet. Funny how their house was too stressful. But my house wasn't. Anyway, last Friday, I went out to dinner. Nothing unusual. But when I came home, I froze. Jake's car was sitting in my driveway. At first, I thought maybe he was just visiting. But when I walked inside, there he was, standing in my kitchen, cooking food, like he owned the place. And in the hallway, there were suitcases, boxes. His stuff was everywhere. Even my spare room was filled. I just stared at him and said, "Jake, how did you get in?" And he casually said, "Oh, Mum gave me the emergency key." Excuse me? Apparently, my parents had decided that if he was already inside, I would just calm down and let him stay. Jake smiled and said, "I only need a couple of weeks." Then he accused me of being dramatic. I was furious. I told him, "No, pack your things and leave." At first, he refused. He said he had nowhere to go that night. But I told him, "You have options. You can stay with Mum and Dad. You can get a hotel. You can call a friend. But you're not sleeping in my house after breaking in with a key you weren't supposed to have." Then he called Mum, and Mum immediately started defending him. She said I was humiliating him during a difficult breakup. And then she reminded me of something. During the pandemic, when I got laid off, I stayed with my parents for 4 months. And that's true. But there's one major difference. I asked first. I paid them every month. I bought groceries. I helped around the house. And as soon as I found another job, I moved out. I didn't just walk into their house, announce that I lived there, and expect everyone to accept it. Eventually, Jake left, but not before calling me selfish. He said I cared more about an empty room than whether he had somewhere safe to sleep. And honestly, that hurt. Not because I believed him, but because I knew he truly thought he was the victim. The next morning, I changed all the locks, and I didn't give my parents another key. When Mum found out, she cried. She said I treated her like a criminal. She said I destroyed her trust over one bad decision. Dad admitted they shouldn't have given Jake the key, but he thought changing the locks was unnecessary. And now, well, guess who's staying with my parents? Jake. And suddenly, they're complaining. He's awake all night, leaves dishes everywhere, and smokes in the garden, even after Dad asked him not to. Amazing how quickly things change. Even my aunt got involved. She said I should let Jake stay with me because I have more space. She accused me of being stubborn about my precious house. And maybe she's right. Maybe I am protective of my house because I worked for it. I sacrificed for it. And I don't think protecting something you've worked hard for makes you selfish. I don't feel guilty for making Jake leave. Not at all. But I do feel a little guilty about changing the locks without talking to my parents first. Mom had that key for over a year, and until this happened, she had never abused that trust. So now, I'm left wondering, was changing the locks the right thing to do, or did I go too far?